Excuse me. Receipts for taxes. Ugh. A lot of them. Hey, everybody. Hello. So I've watched through pretty much all the Kimba shit. Some of it I'm going to be like just scrolling through in the editing software here because there's no English subtitles for them anywhere. Maybe, who knows? I could find it if I try looking hard enough, but it doesn't really like based on yeah, I know what that is. Thanks. Based on like the content of the video. The last 10 episodes of the New Adventures I can't find subtitles for right now. And the 1966 film I can't find subtitles for right now, but I might look harder before I give up. But first, what I'm doing right now is I just plugged a couple hard drives into the computer I'm streaming from right now, so even if I turned off the face cam, you wouldn't be able to see. Just hold on. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to move over some footage. Let's see. So, Kimba. I see. Okay, so I don't even necessarily have to move over the footage onto this hard drive. I can just plug the other hard drive in, I guess. There is, let me see. Eject and eject. Ugh. So many fucking hard drives. Ugh. I'm amazed I know what's on which hard drive. I got so much fucking footage of everything. Album is coming out 2020. The I'm collaborating, well, giving advice back and forth with the person doing the album art, and it's turning out really, really cool. I think the album art's gonna look dope. But that's a surprise. All right, so I just plugged that in, and you guys can't see yet. Hold on. Don't worry about it. I got the Kimba theme song stuck in my head. The 1989 Japanese New Adventures of Kimba one. Right, 1966 Leo the Lion. So it looks like uncut English dub. Is that 60? Is that actually 65? Okay. Just gonna look on Wiki real quick. What does a timberman want with being a wiki? Okay, that was a 66 series, so I gotta retitle that folder, that's why. 1966 Leo the Lion Uncut Dub. So I also have on my hard drive a bunch of shit. Oh my god. Alright, so Leo the Lion. There's one that says New Adventures of Kimba, but so I didn't even download all of them from the YouTube, it looks like. Alright, got most of them now. And there's the 1993 redub. Which looks like, oh, here we are. Freedom.
Listen to what I say.
What is this 1993 Legend of White Lion? That doesn't make any sense. This is not, that's not 93. Oh, that's the redub. Oh, I see. All right. I'm just gonna I have to make folders for all this. There's way too much Kimba shit. There's way too much. There's like over 3,000 minutes. There's way too much. Yeah. When is the vote in Nevada? Is that Tuesday? Shit's fucked, man. Ugh. They're gonna try to rig it against Bernie as hard as they fucking can. That's clearly what's going on. That's clearly what's happening. It's tomorrow. I just hope that Bernie's team and Bernie supporters are so fucking ready that they catch everybody in the fucking act. I hope that's what happens. I really hope that's what happens. I have a funny feeling something like that will happen. But the establishment is going to pull the same old shit, being like, oh, well, they're official numbers, so we can't change anything even if there were mistakes. Sorry. Or some bullshit like that. I don't know. Anyway, new folder. 1965 Kimba read 1993 read dub.
Have fun, son. All right.
There's so much Kimba bullshit. There's so much of it. Bloomberg or bust. That's funny.
So this moment that you're about to see,
yeah, I saw that too. Isn't that insane? Isn't that insane? I love Kyle. I love Kyle Kalinske. Those are some weak clouds? Yeah, well, I don't have a cloud machine. It's just a jewel, so whatever. Oh, God. All right. Here we go. Just organizing all this shit.
Hey Adam,
Thank you.
thanks for your hard work and delivering hilarious content. Also, Bernie 2020.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay,
There he is.
We.
thank you. Okay, so I believe I have all the Kimba shit organized now. So I'm going to be leaving a lot of this to convert overnight. Out of the stuff I have converted, so those are all MOV files, 30 frames per second. Political candidate? Okay, I'll click on the link. Fuck.
2 minutes to Mr. Vermin Supreme.
Thank you.
Oh god.
Gingivitis
Oh, I know that guy.
has been eroding
Well, I don't
the
know him,
line
but I've seen
of
him.
this great nation long enough and must be stopped. For too long, this country has been suffering a great.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch this whole thing, but yeah, that's funny. All right. Okay. So what we can do here is start going through the Kimba episodes along with my notes. And so this is what we have converted. And basically, I wonder if I should be doing this first or if I should be watching those YouTube videos on the controversy first. Let's do that first, actually. Let's see. Let's see how informative this shit is.
In 1965, Mushi Productions and its head Osamu Tezuka, the brilliant animation designer and cartoonist, came up with a concept on film, again animating a concept he had introduced first of all in manga. It appeared in comic book form, and again in the popular boys magazine Shonen. Kimba the White Lion was a series that seemed to be Bambi-like at first. The concept seemed to be little baby animals born in the jungle, in the woods, in this case the jungle, and the trials and tribulations that it faces in growing up. In that way, it was similar somewhat to the tale of Bambi. Bambi, the little deer, born in the forest, of a loving mother and a kingly father. Well, the same concept was translated by Tezuka into Kimba the White Lion, with some variations. And variations that turned out to be a concern to NBC, the distributor who had taken his Astro Boy show, 104 episodes, and now was welcoming him with his new show called, which would be called Kimba the White Lion. First of all, they made it clear that they had to have the show in color. Now that was a big consternation. So far, Tezuka has been working only in black and white. Now that, as complicated as it is to do.
Do I watch all my YouTube at fast speed or just editing? Just editing, honestly. I'm watching these for information, not for entertainment.
White series, in the kind of volume that Tezuka was doing at the old Mushi production. It was all that much harder to do it in color. When his own Fuji network in Japan, the primary bankrollers of the series, when they announced, okay, Tezuka-san, we like your idea, we think Kimba could be a nice, wonderful new show, But we can't accept your idea to do it in black and white because here it is already 1965. Everybody's going color. We are converting to color television. Before, you're right, even if you gave us a color print, we would only televise it in black and white. That was our standard. But now all the world is going to color, and we are too. So we have to insist that you make the series in color. Now, NBC had expressed an interest in the concept with some reservations that I've had to explain. Reservations because once you have animals in a jungle habitat, you're suggesting the law of nature, the law of the jungle. Kill or be killed. And that was a big concern of theirs. Is there going to be a lot of death in this, as had been initially talked about by Osamu Tezuka. So the concept was one, and doing it in color was another. NBC also has said, well, Fuji Television in Japan is right. The days of doing it in black and white are over. We have to have it in color. Tezuka worried, well, wait a minute. To do it in black and white, the very logistics of it, we could do a black and white series with 7 bottles of paint. One bottle on the end would be white, another bottle on the end would be black. In between, you had the gradual colors getting darker and darker until finally they turn black. 7 bottles was enough to paint anything you wanted in a TV series. Now he worried they wanted it in color. Yes, he had worked in color before, but never on a series where there's a staggering amount of work to be done. You're not just doing a single feature or a single featurette, as he was accustomed to doing. This was turning out a half-hour show every week in color. And as I said, the logistics were staggering. His worry was, well, if we need 7 bottles of paint just for black and white, are we then going to need 7 bottles of red, 7 bottles of green, 7 bottles of orange, 7 bottles of yellow, 7 bottles of purple, 7 bottles of indigo? So, just, I say, the amount of bottles of paint and how does one color key a scene to that? How would a color keyer, a color planner, say, well, I want a number 13 red, a 22 blue? It just was a staggering amount of work, and he knew something was going to go wrong. The wrong color would be used, something, and the painters themselves, usually girls, young girls were the painters on cells. How do you specify these things for them? It just became labyrinthine. It was huge. It was complex. And he worried about it. NBC worried about the very nature of having a show in nature, following the laws of nature, the law of the jungle. This was a big thing and a big theme in the series. NBC was afraid of killing, of fighting, of violence, maiming, that kind of thing, but always the underlying threat of death. That was always the bottom line. And how do we get that past our standards and practices department, our censorship department? They're going to say no. Even if we say yes down here, they're going to say no up there. They'll say this is not really children's fare, not good for kids. So that's going to be a problem. And furthermore, what happens when you, Dr. Tezuka, want to have Kimba grow up? You want to show him not only as a baby cub, but in the second series of 52 shows, for the first 52, yeah, you agree he's going to be a little cub. That's okay. We don't want him growing up. Keep him in the jungle as a little cub. That we can identify with. That's baby Bambi. We have no trouble selling that, folks. So how about doing that? And he said, okay, he can do that. If, in the second series, he can have the Kimba, the young prince that's born to the regal king of the jungle, have that prince grow up and now be the king of the jungle. Well, one problem at a time. Color. What about the color? While he and NBC were thrashing out the concept and agreeing that they would always keep it the adventures of a little white lion, the color matter became of overriding concern. Economics. The question was, we don't know how much to charge for a show, if it's going to take us so much longer and involve so much more material. But the big thing is the time, the added time to work in color. And we got to run a lot of tests and experiments, things like that, to make sure we get the colors right. So a friend of mine, and the guy who was doing some work for me on another cartoon feature I was doing at the time called Journey Back to Oz, an old-time animator, just the animator, called Preston Blair, turned out to be the savior of all this. Preston agreed to come to my office early in the game before production began on Kimba the White Lion. At the same time, Tezuka, from Mushi Production, sent a production crew over 4 or 5 fellows, as I recall, came over. They were the on-the-line producers of the show, to learn how to work with color. And their question was, when they met Mr. Blair, and by the way, when he walked in the room, they all stood up and bowed. They knew him very well. A copy of his book, How to Animate, is in every animation studio in the world to this day. He wrote the definitive book about how you draw, how you squash and stretch, all the principles of animation that he pioneered and excelled in, for which he was famous. He was also the animator, by the way, of that marvelous sequence in Disney's Fantasia, The Dance of the Hours, the crocodiles dancing with the hippos. That was Preston Blair, and they knew it, and they respected him highly for it. So he walked in as a god might walk into the studio. We sat and talked, and their question was, well, Mr. Blair, we are very much worried about color. A simple little thing like grass. When somebody crosses the grass and throws a shadow, what happens to the color of the green inside the shadow? You can't keep it the same green. Do you make it blue, the purple? How do you handle that? His advice was, no, you can't do that. I see what you're coming to. There's a limit to how much you can keep changing colors and adding additional bottles of color to complicate the process. What you got to do is stylize and simplify. When you have a shadow on grass, everything in the shadow is black. You can't outlight the grass. It's just everything goes black. The shadow takes over. That's stylizing and simplifying. And for an afternoon, they sat talking about color, and when he left at the end of the afternoon, they felt mighty reassured, and they were over what seemed to be the color barrier. Now,
all right, if you're so triggered, I'll see which tabs I can close right now. Not that one, not that one, not that one. I'd like to have this one open. I'd like to have this one open. I'd like to have this one open. I can close this one. I'll close this one, I guess. Keeping that one open. Keeping that one open. Yeah, I'll close it. And close that. I'm gonna move this one over here. I'm gonna move this one over here.
There he is.
You're not a 6/10 Adam.
Oh, thank you. You're not a 6/10 Adam. Thank you. Can close this one. I'll leave this one open maybe. And close that one. And close this one. Keep that one open. Damn it. It really sucks because I always spend so much time editing. There's so many like YouTube videos I want to watch, and sometimes I'll leave like there's like documentaries and shit that I want to see on YouTube, and then I leave a tab open to be like, oh, that'll remind me to watch it. And then I can't because I'm just so busy working on shit. I need these tabs open. So like half of the links I view on Reddit, I'm just clicking the save button, honestly. Okay, I can close that. I can close this. All right. Close that. Close that. Need this open. I'll move it here. Close that. I can close this. I can close this. Close that. Close that. I can. Oh, 19. Okay. And then I'll leave this open. Close that. Close that. Shit. It's just things I need to like remind myself of mostly.
There he is.
Oh shit.
Aren't you the horse from Spirit, stallion of the Cimarron?
Yes. Thank you. All right, I can. Some of this is difficult. Close that. So the Bright Eyes tickets are on sale now for the show in Washington in May. Tacoma. Is there an airport near Tacoma though? Oh yeah, it is. It's like SeaTac thing. They're all general admission. And they're like they're not nearly as expensive as the LA ones. So I think I should do that. I think I'm going to buy Bright Eyes tickets right now. And I can do that on my way to Cannes if the coronavirus hasn't like fucked everything up in May. I can't believe I missed the date. I should have written that on my calendar, but it looks like there's fucking tickets, so. No, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I'll consider that for sure. I'm just gonna buy these in case I need them and sell them if I don't. Because this might be the best way to do it, is the Washington show, honestly. This might be the easiest thing to do. Print at home. Okay, cool. Hold on a second. I'm just buying these tickets. May 16th. Temple Theater. And I can just do that on my way to Cannes and fly out of Seattle. Awesome. All right, well, hopefully the coronavirus hasn't, like, fucked everything by May. Hopefully I can attend this show. Hopefully not everything gets canceled. That'd be nice. All right. Nice. So that is, yeah, May 16th. I'm just going to write that in my calendar. Hold on, BRB. Don't get so upset that I'm, like, stressed out and paranoid, okay? Don't type in all caps because I'm concerned. Okay. All right. So I closed some tabs. I still have a bunch of tabs. But I guess we can keep watching.
Now, again, the matter of content, law of the jungle, it was agreed with Tezuka beforehand that that there'd be no killing, or if there was going to be killing, if it was inimical to the story. If the story couldn't be told without having the presence or specter of death as a real threat, and that extraordinary steps had to be taken by Kimba to avoid death from occurring. That any death or any over-the-top, as we say, violence happened off.
I didn't buy a plane ticket. I bought a concert ticket to my favorite band ever that hasn't even done anything in like 10 years, okay? Calm down. Somebody got triggered by the amount of tabs I have open, so I went through them to see how many I could close, and I closed a bunch of them. one of the tabs that was open was the tour dates for the Bright Eyes thing, and I'm glad that I actually looked at it because the tickets were on sale and they weren't sold out, and they started on sale today, so I'm glad I clicked on them.
It'll happen behind a clump of trees, in the bushes, something. It won't be on screen. No blood. We don't want to see blood. Don't even have it wanted suggested that, it's all off screen. We can hear the sounds of the fight and all, but you got to hold it down. Finally, all was agreed and production did go ahead. And what finally happened is that in November of 1965, I had by that time written the pilot, given all the characters their names, and I'm going to pause for a second just to say that, first of all, it was the day of the blackout in New York. All the lights were black in the studio. But before that happened, we had
This man is kind of rambling.
I had called the lion
I
Simba.
hope he talks about the
Simba is
controversy.
Swahili. It means lion in Swahili. So
Okay,
it'll happen
hold
behind
on.
a clump of trees, in the bushes, something. It won't be on screen. No blood. We don't want to see blood. Don't even have it wanted suggested that, it's all off screen. We can hear the sounds of the fight and all, but you got to hold it down. Finally, all was agreed and production did go ahead. And what finally happened is that in November of 1965, I had by that time written the pilot, given all the characters their names, and I'm going to pause for a second just to say that, first of all, it was the day of the blackout in New York. All the lights were black in the studio. But before that happened, we had a session where I had called the lion Simba. Simba is Swahili. It means lion in Swahili. So this is a common word they use in Africa. Well, at that time, a fellow named Bill Breen, who had been the sales head when Astro Boy was around, Bill had moved on, and his successor was a fellow in his late 40s, a fellow named Jacques Liebenguth. He died at the age of 51, just died prematurely young. But Jacques heard the name Simba and was told by me that it's a Swahili name. I love the sound of it. I think it's great. You may know of another famous Lion King who was called Simba later on, kept that name. but Liebenguth said, well, Fred, here's the problem. If you tell me that it's a generic name, it's a name you hear any time in Africa, it's not a name we can protect. If we want to merchandise the character, we can't just say Simba. Anybody can call him Simba. Their lion Simba too. But he said, look, I have, there's a young lady in my family named Kim.
Interesting. So that's how the similarity happened. That's really interesting. Okay, I'm going to download this shit and watch through the rest of it in my editing software so I can, actually trim it and whatnot. $240p. Hell yeah. Oh no. they added the Lion King music. Oh no. Oh no.
I got a call from
that's so
one
funny.
day from a reporter in San Francisco. He introduces himself as Charles Burress of the San Francisco Chronicle, saying, Mr. Lamb, we have a peculiar situation here. Maybe you can help me with this. He said, there's a lot of turmoil here. There are big fan clubs up here who are really up in arms, who are complaining and are agitating. They're claiming that the Disney studio, with its Lion King that's opening now everywhere, is in fact a ripoff of Tezuka's Kimba the White Lion. Would you comment on that? I said, I'm hearing about this for the first time. I said, I'm a member of the TV Academy, and my wife and I will be going there in 2 days. It's going to be showing the Academy. I'll see it there, and let's talk there. Let me see it. I haven't heard anything about this. Well, we're in the theater, the Academy Theater, watching it. First thing I see is I see a baboon who bears an uncanny resemblance, both in appearance and in his moniker, in his role in the picture. He's playing the
It's really not. It's really not.
same function as does Daniel Baboon in Kimba the White Lion
Oh,
30
sorry.
years earlier. Well, okay, there's more than one baboon out there in the jungle. I guess if you walk, you can see him in all the branches.
I think I've seen this clip before too.
Then there's a talking bird that appears. I said that's a lot like our Polly Cracker. The parrot, it's not a parrot, but it's a talking bird, and its role, its function, dramatically, is virtually the same thing. He's an
Oh, I'm so mad now because I saw this clip before I'd actually watched Kimba, and I just believed him. I just believed it. But now I've watched Kimba, I'm like, Polly Cracker is not the same character at all. Daniel is not the same character at all. It's so oh man, I have so much to say. I'm so glad I'm doing a video on this shit. Holy fucking Christ. This is not how it started. It's not with this guy. This is not the start of the controversy, no.
is
Like, he's a producer of Kimba, so Just gonna be a little biased there, but anyway.
This is just
Or like the English version, I mean.
like him. Maybe this reporter, maybe the San Francisco bunch has got a point there. Well, as it went on, there's actually two hyenas, two wisecracking, smart alecky hyenas.
No, there's 3 in the film, and they're completely different characters.
Boy, I said two hyenas, and they're the comic relief, and they're the sniveling villains of this thing. Wow, I said that's really getting close to Kimba now. I mean, if they're getting close, this certainly is.
Anyway.
Finally, we see Simba.
There are definitely similarities,
Well,
but like,
before it became Kimba.
he's
Well,
really
I like the
fucking
cloud
stretching
trade
here.
against the sky with billowing clouds. And I turned to my wife Arlene and said, "Boy, I said, don't tell me they're going to pan up to the clouds. In the clouds, we're going to see the dead father's image." And the camera did indeed in this picture of Lion King. The camera panned up, and there the clouds took the shape of the dead father. I said, "Oh."
It's really
I said,
oversimplifying
"This is-
something that's pretty
this is right out of
complicated.
Kimba, sorry. I said, now I understand what those fans are all agitating about. The distinguished San Francisco writer Fred Schott felt exactly. We discussed it days later. I said, "Fred, did you see Lion?" He said, "Yes, I know what you're going to say." It says, "Boy," says, I saw Fred. I couldn't. The two Freds, Ladd and Schott. He said, I couldn't believe it. I said, "Boy," I said, "this is gee whiz," and I'm on friendly terms with the Disney people. What do I say? I can't, but it was unmistakable for Jeff Katzenberg, then to later on taking the position when confronted with this, to be accused of ripping off a series of 30 years earlier, not 30 days earlier, or 30 weeks or 30 months earlier, 30 years earlier. And for any Disney rep to say, well, this couldn't be a ripoff of Kimba because our animators, the young guys, they never even saw Kimba. When in fact, I knew those guys. I knew that they had Kimba masks in their animation cells at the Disney studio. They were young kids. They did all grow up with Kimba. They couldn't help it.
I believe that the animators that worked on it likely saw Kimba. The problem is when you're a company like Disney and you're faced with a question that alleges copyright infringement, they have to say no possible way. If they give any shred of like credibility to that claim, and it's dumb that they couldn't be honest. It's dumb that they had to do that and they're just like a soulless corporation. But this is like legal shit here. This is if they were to admit anything along those lines, that could potentially be used in court against them. So it's unsurprising that Disney would say that. And I totally believe that people that worked on The Lion King had seen Kimba. That's 100% completely probable, right? That is not really the issue at hand here, though.
Influenced by it. And there's just, to say, so much similarity there that I think one cannot just glibly try to explain it away.
Yeah. I really hope, like, honestly, like, if anybody's just, like, watching this shit, if this makes it onto, like, the, like, highlights channel or whatever, give me a fucking chance to make my video, because it is so much more complicated than you realize. And the majority of people that are complaining that I'm taking this stance against the Kimba allegation are people who have not actually seen the show. And now I've seen pretty much fucking all pretty much fucking all of it at this point. And I gotta say, like, it's a really unfair comparison. And that's part of that's the most of the reason I'm making this video, is because it's an incredibly unfair comparison. When most of the similarities are common tropes that are used outside of Kimba that were not invented by Kimba, right? And it's like, oh, there are some animals in Africa. They used some of the same animals. There's only so many animals in Africa, and Kimba used all of them. If the main enemy was like an African wild dog, there'd be tons of Kimba clips to show African wild dogs and how Disney ripped them off in that sense. Like, comparing 90 minutes of a film to 3,000 minutes of several TV shows and films is absolutely unfair, and it falls under the same category as, like, Simpsons did it, which is an episode of South Park where they address the criticisms of, like, oh, you're not allowed to do that. Simpsons did it. It's like, well, Simpsons did everything, right? So, anyway, yeah. Give me a chance for my video before you start reacting to this, is all I gotta say. Give me a chance to, like, actually make my case in a edited, proper format, because all it took was me saying that I don't think that the Lion King crew and writers and directors ripped off Kimba in a way that would constitute as copyright infringement, or in a way that, like, would even be considered ripping off at all. Like, at very most, they could say they were inspired by Kimba. But Disney is not a company that's going to allow them to say that when the only thing that brings it to attention is like, did you rip off Kimba? Of course they're going to go on the extreme defense, right? Anyway, Yeah, I'm gonna make my video and hopefully, yeah, I don't know if any of these long-ass hour-long lectures are gonna talk about that at all. I'm not really willing to go through them, honestly. I want to get on my Lion King review, so. But yeah, you look at shit like this. The biography on Tezuka's IMDb page, this is the first thing that showed up. Literally, if you're on mobile, this is the only thing that shows up in his biography. Tezuka wrote/animated a Japanese TV series, Janguru Tatai, that was turned into a USA syndicated series in the 60s called Kimba the White Lion. This story was then plagiarized by the Disney Company in 1994 and became The Lion King, the most profitable film of all time. And Tezuka has never received due credit from Disney for his creation, much less any money. I'm sorry, that is a gross fucking oversimplification, and I get that this is an IMDb biography. First of all, do you not have any more important things to actually say about this person? That the only thing you have to say about Tezuka, basically like the godfather of anime, is like, he was plagiarized by the Lion King. They stole his work. It's like, that's not how this shit works. That's not how any of this shit works, and people are so fucking stupid. And the reason why I'm taking this position is not against the original complaint by Tezuka or his production company, but because of how people view this in current year, where you can get shit like this, which completely just is so not only disrespectful, but downright libelous. I don't know. What is the correct word for this? What's the other word for libel? There's another word. Anyway, yeah, it's like making claims of like actual plagiarism when they're two completely different slander, that's the word. Two completely different properties. And the comparisons are incredibly unfair. And quite honestly, like, yeah, I'm with 3,000 minutes of Kimba where they did fucking everything that there is to do in Africa, to the point where they were like in Paris in certain episodes. Like, it's a classic case of Simpsons did it, and I challenge fucking anyone who wants to create a show about like lions in Africa, an animated lions film where the father dies and it's about reclaiming his place in the kingdom, and there's an evil bad guy with a scar or whatever. That basic formula, even if you ignore all of those specifics, just lions in the jungle. Make a compelling, seriously toned film about lions in the jungle that's animated, and no matter what you create, Kimba will have done it. That's the problem. Have I ever gotten an external Blu-ray player to work with VLC? I think so. But I don't know if I've ever had any issues with it. But anyway. Oof. All right, so I'm going to add that here to both of these files.
No blood. Don't want to see blood. Don't even have wanted to suggest that, it's all off screen. You can hear this in the sounds of...
So I wanted to watch the rest of
the name
this.
Simba.
Yeah, here we are. This is the clip I wanted.
Head when Astro Boy was around. Bill had moved on, and his successor was a fellow in his late 40s, fellow named Jacques Liebenguth. He died at the age of 51, just died prematurely young. Jacques heard the name Simba, and was told by me that it's a Swahili name. I love the sound. I think it's great. You may know of another famous...
if Kimba was released after Disney, would Disney sue? Probably, but just because someone sues someone else doesn't mean that they're in the right. I wouldn't really agree with Disney if they did that.
Astro Boy was around. Bill had moved on, and his successor was a fellow in his late 40s, fellow named Jacques Liebenguth. He died at the age of 51, just died prematurely young. Jacques heard the name Simba, and was told by me that it's a Swahili name. I love the sound. I think it's great. You may know of another famous Lion King who was called Simba later on. Kept that name. but Liebenguth said, well, here's the problem. If you tell me that it's a generic name, it's a name. He died at the age of 51, just died prematurely young. But Jacques heard the name Simba, and was told by me that it's a Swahili name. I love the sound. I think it's great. You may know of another famous Lion King who was called Simba later on. Kept that name. but But Legal Blue said, well, here's the problem. If you tell me that it's a generic name, it's a name you hear any time and after, it's not a name we can protect. If we want to merchandise the character, we can't just say Simba. Anybody can call him their line Simba too. But he said, look, there's a young lady in my family named Kim. How about we call the young line Kimba? Kimba the White Line. The fact is I hated it. I thought it was awful. I understood why Mr. Legal was doing that. But I thought Simba was so great, and I just thought Kimba, this made it sound effete, feminine. I just didn't dig it. But I said, that's a great job. Let's do it. So I knew he was dedicated to it. I knew I wasn't going to sell him otherwise. So all right, let's go. Okay, Kimba it is. And then there's a baboon in the story. So if you want to follow that line, how about Daniel Baboon? After Daniel Boone, the famous
Daniel.
frontier explorer. So that he became
Okay, I didn't know that was the inspiration for that.
Daniel
That's funny.
Baboon. It was Jacques who said, and the parrot could be Polly Cracker.
Daniel's a shitty name.
So I wasn't all that keen about the nomenclature, but those are the names, and they stuck.
I'm like actually shocked that in this video here that he says that Daniel and Polycracker are anything like Rafiki and Zazu and fill the same purposes, that they're anything similar in character at all, because that is the biggest, that is the, like, just by looking at like character design, not the same type of bird. Sure, baboon, yeah, that's very, I think Rafiki is a baboon. I think I don't know if mandrill is just another word for baboon, but anyway, completely different bird, first of all. Second, the characters are like not the same at all. Like that is what really changed my mind on this shit. It was watching the show. When I went into this project, when I went into this, watching Kimba the White Lion, I had believed every single bit of propaganda that was on the internet about this. I believed all of it. And it was only after watching the show that I started to be like, wait a minute, this is kind of bullshit.
So he became Daniel Baboon. It was Jacques who said, and the parrot could be Polly Cracker. Oh, that's great, John. That's great. Okay, Polly Cracker it is. So I wasn't all that keen about the nomenclature, but those are the names that they stuck in over the years. Nobody wants to hear anything other than the names that they've come to know and love over the years. We went in and we recorded the first script, the pilot. I think, as I recall, the day of the big blackout in New York, the power failure in New York, I think it was November 22nd. Someone said, no, it was November 9th, but whatever it was in November. And when we were halfway through dubbing the pilot, the studio went totally black. Now, there are no windows in the studio. It has to be soundproof. Really, it was just total blackness. We had to go forward. Hey, what happened? What happened to all the lights? No one knew, and the projectors yelled out, someone threw the neutral. Let's see if we can get out of here, the neutral. We didn't know it was a blackout, citywide blackout. So we literally broke our way out of the studio. It was pitch black, not a window in the place. I think it was getting toward evening anyhow. And we broke our way down the stairs to the street in pitch black, stumbling down steps. So that's the day I'll never forget. We were halfway through the pilot. We came in a few days later when things had returned to near normal. We finished dubbing the pilot.
People are trying to discredit me on this position without having watched the show. Like all of the several posts in my subreddit of people commenting being like, I think Adam's a little biased here. He just loves The Lion King a lot. And none of them have watched the show. None of them have watched Kimba. None of them have said they watched it. That's the problem. People just believe this bullshit. Whatever. Just watch my fucking video when it's out.
So that's the day I'll never forget. We were halfway through the pilot. We came in a few days later when things had returned to near normal. We finished dubbing the pilot. And what a job we had trying to match the voices, the quality of the voices, their position on mic between one scene and the next scene. It might be the same perspective, but the voices had a different perspective, so they weren't quite in the same place. This was probably matching, and it seemed to be a winner. Everybody at NBC liked it. The names were agreed upon. We kept them, and indeed that series would go for 52 episodes. Now casting, it's just an incredible recognition of the actors. The three actors who performed in Astro Boy should come in and create new characters for Kimba. That's exactly what happened. Ray Owen, who in Astro Boy was the voice of Dr. Elephant, became the voice Chris Way of Daniel Baboon. He got through the show Western tiki style. So he did that, and that became the voice of Daniel Baboon. Seemed a little bit strange to get accustomed to the beginning, but as time went on, one does become accustomed to it, and you can't imagine that character speaking any other way. So he was the voice of the baboon character. Billy Luwatt, who was the voice of Astro Boy in the series before, became the voice of Kimba, and we spent, perhaps a half hour or so, no more than that, because she was gifted, could shade her voice. But she achieved a more boyish voice for the voice of Kimba in the Kimba series than the voice of Astro Boy had to be, because after the robot could understandably and unexplainably have a cartoonish kind of voice, a more gimmicky voice. But this was a living thing, a young lion. So the voice had to be more natural, and Billy Lou achieved it. Gilbert Knapp, who was also in the Astro Boy series, a standard actor, became several other characters in Kimba as well. And even between the three of them, there were more characters on screen, more running characters, more characters that kept on appearing throughout the series, than was the case in Astro Boy. So indeed, we had to have a fourth actor. Billy Lou Watt's husband,
who does live in deepest, darkest Africa,
was a guy who did a lot of live performances on Broadway and off Broadway, and has a romantic young leading man voice. Well, there's a character we call Roger Ranger, and so Hal became the voice of Roger Ranger. And that was pretty much it. It became largely a four-person cast, a little bit larger than the cast. So the 50 shows out all these characters. 1966, yeah, we're still everything else. There's a sales period where the salesmen try to sell the show, sell the series, make sure they have enough to indeed support going to production on a full series of 52. By that time, early 66, the atmosphere had chilled a lot between Dr. Tezuka, Osamu Tezuka, and NBC. He was still a little smarting a bit from the restraints that were put on him in the Astro Boy series, although later was always accepted. They always felt he was working under constraint. He was, in fact, being subjected to what is the very real censorship of some attorneys in the Standards and Practices Department at NBC. They always had some, even if they were interns, they'd always have some legal training, always some background, because one always had to be aware of the American FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. There are guidelines which mustn't be exceeded, and if they do get exceeded, someone from NBC has to appear before the commission and explain why this breach was done, and was it really necessary, and could it have been handled in a better way. Well,
I don't think that anybody.
They have something else, and the standards are more permissive in one direction than they are here. And conversely, they might be more permissive here than in.
I don't think that anybody promoting the idea that Kimba Kimba was plagiarized by The Lion King. I don't think that they are acting maliciously. I will much more quickly assume ignorance than malice. And that's just a part of my character, right? People, I can understand how people can believe it who have seen the show. The people that have created these comparison videos and shit. However, they are acting very unfaithfully. And I don't know if it's intentional or not, but they are being very, very incredibly manipulative in how they present their information, especially by using clips from the 1997 Kimba film to be like, look, this looks like similar to The Lion King. They ripped it off. That came out 3 years after The Lion King. How can you put that in your video? How can you do that? Honestly, I don't know what your intentions were there, but that's fucking bullshit. That's insane. I'm sorry. Like, that's fucking ridiculous.
He wasn't being allowed to do the show the way he wanted to. There was another reason for some contentiousness, too. Before accepting the show that became Kimba the White Lion, Tezuka had other ideas that he wanted to present as well. And he thought that as was the practice in Japan, where one network distributes all your programs, that here would be NBC, even though it was not the NBC network, but an offshoot, a subdivision of the NBC entity, that in fact that entity, that enterprise division, let's say, was playing the comparable part of the Fuji television network in Japan. So he thought, well, what applied in Japan would also apply here in the States, but just be in English.
No, Kimba, here's the thing that you don't realize, because you've just clearly jumped in on here without, like, understanding any of the shit that like has been going on this entire rabbit hole few months that I've been going through Kimba. Kimba is not one film. Kimba is like 4 TV shows and like 4 movies. And those are what are being compared, is one 90-minute Lion King film versus 3,000, not even kidding, 3,000 minutes of Kimba. It's an insanely unfair comparison when you're picking and choosing from like any single spot in any of the series saying like, that shot looks similar. What the fuck? Simba does sound like Kimba? Yeah, because Simba means lion in Swahili. Simba means lion in Swahili. That's where the name comes from. That's where the name comes from. They didn't go like, oh, what's a good name to use? Kimba? Let's do Simba. How fucking stupid do you think they would be? If they were going to try plagiarizing something to change one letter? If that was their goal the entire time? What does Kimba mean? Kimba is a variation on Simba, lion in Swahili. He talks about it right here. We just went over this clip. He said that when they were doing the American dub for NBC, that they decided on something like Simba, and then they were like, no, that's not marketable because anybody can use Simba because it's a common word. So if we're going to merchandise it, it has to be slightly differently. So they went with Kimba, right? So it's not unreasonable to assume that the Lion King creators would choose Simba because it means lion in Swahili, and that hadn't been done before in any kind of merchandising popular thing, right? So anyway.
The original concept was being suppressed. He wasn't being allowed to do the show the way he wanted to. And he thought, well, okay, he suffered through the trial period of Astro Boy. He gave in to NBC. He acquiesced. He said, okay, we'll do it your way. But now he felt that he had matured, business-wise, animation-wise. He felt that with Kimba, that it was a mature enough concept so it should stand on its own and not be interfered with by a bunch of guys and standards and practices upstairs at NBC. So there was some contention. But we did do the entire series, I say. The brutality was kept off screen or staged behind bushes. And we did indeed, we say muddle our way through. We did get through the entire 52. But already Tezuka was not that happy with the relationship between NBC and him. It went on, but he was hoping for something more. So these were some of the things that would unfortunately lead to what became the eventual demise of Osamu Tezuka's wonderful Mushi production. He worked so hard to set up that production studio, trained young kids to be animators, something unknown in this country, where I mentioned Preston Blair before, who was already a tall, very nice looking man with long gray hair, and the Disney studio had the famous 9 gray-haired men. These were the guys who had designed and animated the wonderful features that Walt made. But you didn't see young men there in general. The top animators were older men. The exact opposite was true in Japan. There hadn't been any industry there until Tezuka started it. So what they were doing was either you could try to raise somebody else's animation studio, if you could find one, and get their top talent, because other studios were springing up in the success in the wake of Astro Boy. When Astro Boy became a hit, a dozen other studios sprang up overnight all over Tokyo. They all figured, okay, if Tezuka's getting rich, we're going to get rich too by doing the same thing. So it was a different studio that did Iron Man number 28, the character we call Gigantor. That was not Tezuka's production. All the influences seemed to be the same. But the studios were literally rating each other for talent. They were all young guys coming out of art school, or they had been working over in a room over their garage doing little bank commercials and things like that, little logo product. It was with a great deal of difficulty. So one can appreciate how Tezuka, once he had formed this wonderful Mushi production, had trained everybody how to draw and how to get perspective and little tricks you use to make the viewer think he was seeing action or he was seeing a still. Like you move in on a still, or you truck back, or you spin, or you pan across. All these little tricks that we worked out to hold the money down because he didn't have a lot of money to work on. So with the loss of NBC support now, because he had come up with so much other product, as we say, other series, other films that he did not sell, and that distribution all would fall into the hands of a minor distributor who do a so-so job on it. You know, give away, sell it to the smaller stations at giveaway prices.
That's why I have a
It wasn't much that
Patreon,
the
Scott.
distributor could count on. So all these factors combined led to finally the demise of the Bushi production. The studio went into bankruptcy, and he became embittered about that. He worked so hard to build up this marvelous facility, only to see it go dark and padlocked, and he himself was denied access to it. One interesting sidelight I will tell you is that later on, toward the end of his life, he became, it's just too bad to have a wonderful person like this be set by so many business problems, things that he didn't want to get involved in. He said, just let me be an artist, I only want to draw. I have business people. Yes, he had business people who were stealing him blind. He had come upon hard times, and with the going dark of the studio of Bushi Production, to do all the animation in these places. Not the same Tezuka in his later days as he had been in his bright, eager days when he just...
All right, most of this is rambling. I kind of want to...
And bowed. Or be killed. And that was a black and white. Now, so far, Tezuka has been working only in black and white. Now, that, as complicated as it is to do a black and white series, in the kind of volume that Tezuka was doing at the old Bushi production, it was all that much harder to do it in color.
I'm just putting that clip there to remind myself to talk about the black and white color thing. Because it is, like, I want to give Kimba as much credit as possible. I'm not saying, like, oh, ignore anything that this show did because I disagree with the controversy or anything. Because it was the first color animation broadcasting on Japanese television, which is pretty landmark. It's pretty cool. And Tezuka obviously like contributed a shit ton towards like the evolution of like anime and shit. Like he's literally the godfather of anime. Anyway, BRB. I'm gonna grab a drink. I'm gonna piss. BRB. Oh yeah. Before I piss, I should probably convert these videos here. Give me 1 second. Well, okay, my conversion software is being dumb right now. Okay, I'm just gonna piss. Well, BRB. Hold on, everybody. There we go. All right, converting. All right. So yeah, I mean, do I generally enjoy Kimba? Ironically, mostly. I'm glad I watched through it, but it was fucking exhausting, and I wish that I wasn't doing it for work, so I could have spaced it out a bit more. Because watching this shit over and over and over and over and over again, nonstop, no matter which series, it's just fucking. It's so exhausting. It's an exhausting show, all of them. All right. Kimba, here we are. Just looking at my notes here. My notes got a lot more organized as they went along.
Where many different people work peacefully. All must flee.
Oh yeah. Just like, what the fuck? This is, there's some things about this that are just like really funny. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Oh yeah, I should probably keep the episode title before each one, because as soon as when I start cutting these down, it's gonna get a little confusing. That's the corpse before he dies, though.
There he is! And don't spare the horsepower!
Yeah. The original series is pretty fucking funny, depending on the episode, really. Okay. And then this bitch with the long neck is Caesar's wife. Caesar is like freeing a bunch of animals, and they're like, that's bad. So they kidnap his wife because they're like, we don't know how to fuck this lion up, but women are fucking defenseless, so let's get the woman lion. And he knows he's walking into a trap too. He dies.
No prize, no win. Perhaps when you have a child, it will be a boy. You can call it Kimba. No win. Perhaps when you have a child, it will be a boy, and you can call it Kimba.
So funny. It's so funny.
Don't cry. Don't prize, no win. Perhaps when you have a child, it will be a boy. You can call it Kimba. Kimba, son of Caesar.
Brr. And then
To have a baby, and there's no one to look after her needs. Who volunteers? Your eagerness.
oh yeah. There's like I don't know. If we're gonna talk about similar character designs, this is basically the Cheshire Cat, right? All right, so he even makes the smile, you know? What year was Alice in Wonderland?
All right, bring down the curtain. That's it. He's got a baby. Maybe lots of babies.
Yeah, the mice from Cinderella. I don't know, debatably. If we're, I mean, like, if we were being as charitable as like the people that are claiming that the Lion King plagiarized Kimba, then yeah.
All right, bring
No, yeah, I know that, Cacophony. Like the entire animation style of drawing animal characters with really big eyes, which was basically like the foundation of anime. That was an inspiration from Walt Disney, and Tezuka was pretty open and honest about that. Blech. Yeah. So Kimba gets born. Man, how am I going to separate all this footage? Should I just add markers? Just trying to figure out how to stay organized here in a way that's like... I think episode 1, like, this is the most plot I'm going to be talking about. I think the rest of the episodes after this, I'm going to be, like, just getting, like, little bits and pieces, right? So yeah, he sees his dead mom in the stars. People say the Lion King ripped that off. But if we're being honest, over the course of all these shows, like, they're constantly fucking hallucinating shit. Like, it's not just limited to the stars, right? Or the clouds or the moon or whatever, right? Like, these are common tropes. That's part of the issue here, is that, like, not only, like, Kimba didn't invent this shit, first of all. Like, if you can make a reasonable claim that if Kimba hadn't existed, would the Lion King be the same? I think there's a reasonable argument to make for that. Like, the things that exist that people claim the Lion King ripped off are incredibly common, basic tropes. Like, Kimba didn't invent having a villain with a scar on his face. Like, that's not a thing that... Like, that's such a common thing. And what's really frustrating about it is, like, he doesn't even have a scar on his face in this particular show. He doesn't get a scar on his face until, like, the 1989 show. And so people just, like, pick and choose which versions of Kimba are being ripped off at any moment in time. It's like Schrodinger's Kimba. It's like, I don't know, if you're comparing it to like 3,000 minutes, then yeah, you're gonna find some things that are similar. Yeah, I'm struggling to understand how I'm gonna like organize this shit. Yeah. These annoying assholes. Here we are. Let's see. So that is and we're like not very far into the show at all, by the way. Is like what's important to consider. Yeah, there's this guy. I forget his name. How am I going to organize this? Okay, let me think here. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do here is leave the specifics of each episode until later. And right now, all I'm going to section off. So I'll go through the episodes in the recording, right? Right now, all I'm going to section off is small clips that are going to be used for the arguments. So highlighting the similarities and the differences. So the... Oh, interesting. Yeah, this clip is like... I think they reused animation for the film. The 66 film. Anyway, let's see. Yeah. Here. To make it clearer for people. All right.
Never once considered.
Skyface? Is that the TV tropes page I should be looking at? Yeah, I should open up. See, these are tabs I should be keeping open too. This is a part of it. There's a bunch of articles and shit that I need to go through. Yeah, like what I want to get some good footage of would be like a bunch of villains with scars on their face or whatever throughout history, or like disfigured villains, right? You could make somewhat of an argument for like the witch from Snow White. That was before Kimba. Like I'm not super familiar with older film, but I know that Kimba didn't invent that shit, right? I know there's examples in like James Bond. There's tons of scarred villains in James Bond, but I don't know which. I don't know how old James Bond is. James Bond was like the 60s, right? Yeah, I would want to stray away from using examples that are like post Kimba though, because I don't know. My argument is that Kimba didn't invent this shit, right? All right. So here we are. We got... Alright, so I'll make a marker similarities. We got Mom in the Stars. And that's a very vague similarity. Just seeing someone... Yeah, this is gonna work better, what I'm doing here. These fucking... they're so annoying. Right? So hyena sidekick villains. Right? But, like... in these first few episodes... there's like a decent amount of similarities. But as the show goes on, it's like you realize that the core of each product is like entirely different. The human conflict is like a huge difference. Like almost every single fucking episode of this show has like a human conflict, right?
King Claude once.
Whereas I think The Lion King was like the first Disney film without human characters in it.
Why, Polly Cracker, you ought to show more respect.
That's all right. I want to be pals.
We miss your father being our leader, Kimber. There's a terrible lion who calls himself King of the Jungle.
Just like your father Caesar was before.
Thanks, Donald. I'll try to follow my father's footsteps. I don't want to be a king. Would you just call me Kimber?
Sure, anything you say, Kimber, pal.
Why, Polly Cracker, you ought to show more respect.
That's all right. I want to be pals.
We miss your father being our leader, Kimber. There's a terrible lion who calls himself King of the Jungle since your father went away. Hello.
And yeah, the idea of like lions being king of the jungle, that wasn't invented by Kimba, right? So it's like when you're working with things that are like entirely just like colloquial basic understandings, things that are already tropes, like it's unreasonable to say that like just because someone else somewhere else came up with a couple things that were similar, but the only similarities are literally just tropes. It's like there's nothing original that Kimba did that you can also find in The Lion King, is the problem. Oh yeah, Kimba can talk.
There he is.
Thank you. Like nothing that Kimba did that is also found in The Lion King is something that Kimba invented. It's nothing that isn't like just a huge trope. Oh yeah. Oh man. Such a funny scene. I'll remove the log from the front of the boat. Just the animation here. Wah, wah, wah.
Wait, there! You fired a gun at them!
He just shot them with purple goo. It's such a weird scene. So bizarre. They like walk through the desert. Alright, so here's Claw, which people say Scar is a ripoff of.
Well, I've looked all over the jungle for Kimba, but he's not to be found anywhere.
I'll bet Kimber's hiding from you, Claw, because he's afraid of you. He's chicken.
Everyone's saying he's going to be king of the jungle instead.
Yeah, like this character, not replicated in The Lion King, obviously.
Like to see him try. That greenhorn had better not get in my way. There's only one ruler in this jungle. Well, he is Caesar's son.
Claw will take care of Caesar's son, and then all the animals will have to do just what Claw tells him to. Look! A spy!
Kimber, where are you? Come back, Kimber. Please come back.
Hurry! I can't wait. You need Kimber. Who's that coming in off the desert? Why, it's Kimber! Kimber! I'm glad to see you. You were just in time, Kimber. You've got to rescue Donnie. It's the hyenas again.
Let's go. Halt! Halt!
Oh, hello, chicken. You might as well start squawking, because I'm going to beat you up.
So am I.
You aren't going to be allowed to pick on anyone anymore, you bullies.
What's happened to him since yesterday? 1, 2.
You see, Kimba did it again.
Kimba, son of Cedar!
Yes, but who are you?
I'll throw this in for the similarities.
Kimba, son of
Because you can see the sidekicks right there. It's all like easy to interpret in one frame.
Yes, but who are you?
Iron Claw! I am the king of the jungle!
You're a tyrant, Claw. You're not noble enough to be a king.
You call me the king
Yeah, I think I'm gonna.
of Claw! I am the king of the jungle!
You're a tyrant, Claw. You're not noble enough to be a king.
You call me the king of Sorry!
No, I won't. My friend taught me that it's right to fight against injustice.
All right, fight!
I know. I'll lead Claw to the desert and trick him. Uh-oh. You can't catch me, Claw.
Yes, I can!
No, you can't.
Yes, I can!
No, you can't.
Yes, I can! Gotcha!
There's mud in your eye. Oh, stop. I'm in a pool of water, Claw. Can you swim like this, or are you afraid to try?
Who's afraid?
I'm in a pool of water, Clock!
I'm in a pool of water, Claw. Can you swim like this, or are you afraid to try?
Who's afraid?
Oh, so funny. Oh. Yeah, I gotta have some sort of like... Alright. How am I gonna do this?
Who's afraid?
Because I'm like going through it right now, right? So...
Why aren't you swimming, Claw?
God. Yeah, I'll get that, like, boat thing going on. Just, like, weird fucking scenes. Oh, yeah, he, like, leaves his friend to die there. It's really weird. Yeah, this scene is just fucking bizarre.
Look out!
But, well, you mean you were actually friends with a human being? But I thought they were our enemies. Not all of them.
Exactly the way it should be. Our friend Caesar would have been happy, knowing that Timbers inherited his father's wisdom and his rule in the jungle well. Yep.
Yeah.
This is the way I like to see our jungle, Bucky. Peaceful. Exactly the way it should be. Our friend Caesar would have been happy, knowing that Timbers inherited his father's wisdom and his rule in the jungle well.
After saving him from Cliff in episode 3,
I'm gonna make them any better.
Sorry about him.
Oh, yeah, all the rhinos have facial hair. It's really weird. Like mustaches and like head hair.
This is the jungle. Something bad always happens every...
Hey, it's good to see you, remember?
Keep our heads, man.
The next bush. I won't believe it until I see it.
He won't hurt you.
Until half a coconut, that thing on their head. Be careful, you'll find it now. Change it if we really try. Excellent.
Get away. Time. Said sure
The rainbow, and I'm doubtful.
the jungle. On ears. A lion talking in human language. Is it true?
Kimba.
We're almost to the other side of the bridge. Someone said danger. And I'm sure that it couldn't have been Mary.
Roger, friend. Roger, friend.
I can't believe my own ears. A lion talking in human language. She probably thinks that she'll never see.
Friend.
I can't believe my own ears. A lion talking in human language. Is it true? Once again, say it once again.
Roger is a friend.
You're really talking to me.
You're really talking to me.
You saved my life. You tried to warn me, and I was too foolish to pay attention to your warning.
Oh my god.
Yes, I'm your friend. I'll always be.
Kimba.
I can't begin to...
I'll explain it. Yes, Roger, I do understand. Yes. So that I can tell
Oh, baboon. I think we should all learn.
language.
That's better. Good morning, teacher. I'm ready to work. That ought to get me a good mark. I brought you a nice coconut from home, teacher.
Polly, what are you doing? Talking to yourself?
Hi.
It's not going to do you any good to bring coconuts to the teacher. It's what you learn that's important.
What's that? You mean all my practice has gone to waste?
That's right.
It's not fair, Kimber. I spent all morning practicing to be nice. I didn't have to.
Yeah, here's fucking Polly freaking out. This is like that's what pisses me off by him saying they're the same character. Is like Polly, I'm gonna have like tons of clips of this by the end of this, by the way. Polly is like constantly fucking like, "Arr!" Like my fists in the air. He's got a short temper. That's not Zazu at all. I'm sorry. Like that's like one of the most defining parts of Polly's character is that he's short-tempered. That's character defining. Here we are. I'm sorry, Zazu is not that.
Funny, everyone's late for school.
Huh? That's right. No one's shown up yet. It's strange because they were so anxious to learn. Kimber, I just thought of something. Do you suppose somebody's keeping them away on purpose so that they won't be...
You're right, Polly. Go
He like always wants to fight people.
Hot.
Hurry, let's go. This is the words of Boss Rhino and his gang of bullies.
You should
Wake up, Bucky.
Now would you do that for
Supposed to be at school first thing this morning?
You think I asked him to go to see Polly. Sure, I understand.
right up to 7 sleep? Pretty go.
I'm team that 7 nights would have to go by.
Right, it's not learning. Sing a human song, sing a human song, sing a human song. Gonna learn
Oh my god.
a human song, sing a human song.
Ugh. Yeah, I'm gonna be marking off clips for colonialism. Because that's like an incredibly common theme in this shit. It's so weird! Let's just be civilized like the humans.
Hey, wake up, Mr. Rose. I want to talk to you. In the sea. Never be.
Allow fellow animals to learn our enemy's language. One.
Run! Yeah, each time I see Kimber's wisdom and bravery, I realize how lucky we are to have Caesar's son as our prince. How are you? How are you? We can stop us Rhino's gang.
The only way to have peace in the jungle is to make friends with humans, Boss Rhino. That's why we're going to learn their language, and you can't stand in the way of progress. With humans, Boss... The only way to have peace in the jungle is to make friends with humans, Boss Rhino. That's why we're going to learn their language, and you can't stand in the way of progress.
Such a weird plot.
Roger, I guess you'll be leaving us soon. I suppose you're anxious to get back to your own home again.
A little bit, but there's no way to leave now that the bridge is down.
Teaching us your human language, Roger. We wish you could stay and teach us other things. The other animals in the jungle have asked me to thank you for teaching us your human language, Roger. We wish you could stay and teach us other things, but we understand.
No, I'm not going to leave you, Kimber. I've never been as happy any place as I've been here in the jungle with you. Thank you for building such a fine bridge, but I'm not going to use it for a long time. I'm going to stay here and teach the animals as much as possible.
Take the bridge down, Roger Ranger. Stay here with us.
Well, how about a little music and celebration?
Because I'm fucking intense, okay? That's how.
Me?
the tropical skies in the heart of Africa lies the jungle kingdom of Kimba, the white lion.
All right, so we're on episode 4. And about episode 5 is where my notes getting a lot more, or start getting a lot more specific. Oh yeah, the hypnotism snake, which is like basically Jungle Book.
Alright, Tyson!
Oops.
Alright, Tyson, you behave yourself!
Oh, hang on!
No, Devil, better let me battle this snake!
Here's the bag, Lila. With you, Kimba.
Seems to be here.
Why, sure. Samson always has a big celebration.
What's animal breaks up a celebration, Devil?
That's a matter of opinion. He's a water buffalo that lives in the swamp and everything. You must be witness of fight you had with.
It wasn't really.
Just hope you become as great a.
What special present?
Yeah, because they should be having lived make a first. Why are you hesitating? Just go ahead. Get rid of these traitors, so. You to prepare for our feast.
Great. Joking. If we
Kimba is too smart to.
Why, you overgrown swamp cow, I'm going
Yeah, look at this. This is literally a part of his character.
Quiet!
Why, you overgrown...
Like, how can you say that Zazu is
I'm
this?
going to teach you a lesson.
This is constant. I'm gonna teach you a lesson. He's so cocky. Don't say Zazu is the same character. Ugh. Like, I have to believe that it's not malicious and they're just stupid.
Kimba, since you're such a big sissy, I'll show you how a brave animal operates.
Zazu is the same character as that.
All right, you traitor.
Fuck off.
You're brave, Kimba, not to run when I. Or you are.
Sorry about the premium.
So as you can already tell, we're like 4 episodes in. Claw has like disappeared. Right? He's not really like he shows back up, but like it's not like the Scar presence in The Lion King.
Kimba's right. That makes sense and that me you talk. Don't be afraid if you...
Like the vast majority of episodes have nothing to do with him. Oh, do we have more? No. His dead dad's hide. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna...
What do you find out? Your Caesar's hiding.
There's so much more of it, but like... why not? I'll just find every clip.
What do you find out? Your Caesar's hiding inside? Yes, let's do him and the gun. Thanks, Tony.
Didn't Kimba have a movie also? Kimba has like 4 movies, and yes, I've watched them. It's insane. I've watched way too much of this shit.
The gun's right inside there. Good.
I've watched way too much of this shit. It's ridiculous.
Hide! Hurry! No, they stole my white lion's hide! How could they?
Is someone calling you?
Oh my god, this is so funny.
Someone calling me? That looks like... But it can't be. I'm coming! I'm coming! Oh, were you calling?
How do you recognize him? You weren't even born! You weren't even born before he died! How do you recognize him?
That looks like... But it can't be. I'm coming! I'm coming! Oh, were you calling for Kimba? I'm Kimba. Wait.
Kimba! You must not come too close.
But I want to see you better. I can't make you out.
No, you mustn't.
Wait. Please wait. Oh.
You may approach, but not too close.
All right, but please tell me who you are and why you were calling Kimba.
I'm your father's spirit.
Great Caesar's ghost? I've never believed in ghosts. But you seem real.
How could you doubt it? Of course I'm real. And I'll come back because I think you need help.
You?
You were right, my boy. Killing is always wrong.
How am I doing?
Fine, Pauline, now tell him to have courage no matter what. You must have courage, Kimba, no matter what happens.
But the animals all agree with Samson. Maybe I'm wrong, but I want all of us, including the tamed animals, to live in peace.
Wait, tell me, what do I say?
Tell him he's right. No matter what, always stand up for what's right.
Always right.
Strong and firm.
Strong and firm.
And courageous.
And courageous.
Agree with me, Father.
Kimba, do not whine and whimper like a child. Be a prince. The white lion is born to lead.
All the animals
I said that being by animals like that. Right.
Yes, sir.
Father. You. Holy cracker. Well, fancy meeting you here. Bye.
Oh, Bucky, I'm ashamed of you. You claim to be my friend. Ben, you three really agree with me instead of Samson. My friends, yet you played such a dumb trick on me.
Kimba, we are your friends. We simply wanted to help.
Ben, you three really agree with me instead of Samson. Oh, you've made me very happy. You really are my friends. You didn't have to pretend to be my father's ghost, but it was kind of funny.
We're friends.
Again, the line.
And together, we'll prove we're right.
It was kind of funny. His dead. It's so ridiculously fucking morbid. Ugh. Yeah, more shots of his fucking dead dad here.
Got to find one way to protect the animals. As you've heard, hunters are coming with guns. The best thing we can do is make ourselves scarce. The place to hide.
Don't listen. You won't listen.
Right.
Marching at us just. I think he's cracking up, okay?
All right. Now we're on episode 5. Kimba goes to fucking Paris. I'm gonna grab a drink. Give me a second here. Ugh.
Visitor came to the city of Paris.
Oh yeah, there was like a Reddit post that I need to read through. A brief guide to the Kimba allegations and questions for future reference. Lion King has a couple of misconceptions. Hey, anyone interested in signing the Lion King inspiration from Kimba? Hopefully there's enough primary source evidence to support this. Okay, anything wrong? Any information, let me know. This post is not about quality, which is better. The facts of the case, I don't think the claim deserve to be dismissed as completely bonkers. However, over-enthusiastic some Kimba fans might be, and they have exaggerated a bit. More importantly, this deals with the company ethics and the wider view of the truth. If you want to have an opinion of this, here's the info. If you need, what is the allegation about? The allegation is that specific character design in relationship with certain plot points from Kimba the White Lion, Jungle Emperor Leo were lifted for use without acknowledgement in Disney's The Lion King. The allegation has never been that the entire plot was lifted. The Tezuka state themselves, and that they are considered The Lion King different story entirely, and would have been flattered by Disney's imitation. Tezuka was a Disney fan if they acknowledged it. It has nothing to do with the name similarity, which was, yeah, exactly. Like, see, this is shit that I already know. That's not my issue, is not like... My argument is not against the original claim. My argument is not against Tezuka. My argument is against the public perception of what this currently is, and the people who have allowed this public perception to happen with incredibly misleading videos, incredibly misleading articles, that this is news to people right now. To be like, oh, this wasn't what the actual claim was about, right? Like, that's my problem in the first place. It's wildly different. Not including the Lion King, the Dad's Dead Skin, the interaction with humans, delightful trips to Paris are chalked down to the fact that Kimba is a series. Lion King is an 84-minute movie, as per who headed up a petition along the arts to acknowledge similarities. Nobody is claiming that the series stories are identical. However, when my animations first reached Disney, I was told to abruptly that Disney had never heard of the story. Kimba White Lion, has never heard of Kimba White Lion. At least a subtle paying homage to Tezuka or a few lines paying respect to the origin of the story should be included. Tezuka state acknowledged the similarities but refused to litigate due to the power of Disney's attorneys, as well as Tezuka would have been honored by inspiration, sure. Key similarities disputed are the plot point of an exiled lion with a dead father must come to reclaim the throne of a usurper. During childhood, he has a close relationship with the lioness. You can't include the fact that he has a love interest as a similarity. I'm sorry, that's bullshit. I'm sorry, that's insane. Oh man, like, I really don't want to be offensive to this person that obviously put like a lot of thought and effort into this post, but like, he has a close relationship with a lioness cub. That's what story didn't have a love interest with the main character? Like that's on the checklist. Like these are all tropes. Like the
Have fun, son.
oh my god. Usurper being a dark-furred, black-maned lion with a scar over his left eye. He doesn't have a scar over the left eye. His left eye is closed. There's several other characters in the show with scars over the left eye. It's a trope. Perhaps that is similar. That is something that I'm willing to admit. It's incredibly similar. But my argument is that like it is entirely possible and plausible for someone to have come up with that design completely independently of Kimba existing, right? So when you look at tropes, when you want to make a villain and all of the villains are the same species and they all have fur, you're going to make them the darker color. Like you're not going to make the villain a white lion, right? That's not a trope. Like we're talking about Disney. We're talking about like we're talking about a company, and yeah, I give a lot of credit to these individual writers and directors on the project. Like they really created The Lion King. Like it wasn't so much Disney, but yeah, we're talking about making something that will appeal to the masses, right? And when you do that, you're following certain checklists. And I've complained a lot about these checklists because in many ways they harm films. But like, yeah, it's the villain is going to be a darker shade than the other characters. Like that's not something that Kimba invented, right? And the facial deformity on a villain is not something that Kimba invented. Like if this can be explained away by an unfortunate coincidence, I don't understand why people are so quick to accuse the creators of The Lion King of plagiarism. It's really sad. Because like here's an example. So Requiem for a Dream and Dark City came out the exact same year. And they both have ending sequences with Jennifer Connelly staring out onto the edge of a pier on a dock with the ocean in the background. And it looks like the same fucking shot. But they were shot the same year. And there couldn't have possibly been any kind of communication between them. Like neither of them ripped each other off. They came out the same year. Like they were completely different properties. It was an unfortunate coincidence. If one came out earlier than the other, they would have been accused of plagiarism. Sometimes these things happen, right? And in that particular case, that one's particularly confusing because it's like not only the same actor, but like the same type of idea. And it's so weird, right? Just like this weird, bizarre coincidence. When we're dealing with the shit from Kimba and The Lion King, all of these similarities are either chalked up to A, there's only so many animals in Africa. Some are going to be colloquially considered by human beings as like more negative or more positive, right? You're not going to have a bird as the villain. That's not something that you're going to do. That doesn't make sense for the story, right? Like you're going to have to choose between like other lions, hyenas, maybe African wild dogs, maybe panthers, maybe a tiger. There's only so many, right? If you're going to work with animals that exist in Africa. Only so many that could possibly be the villain. And beyond that, beyond the, like, oh, some of these characters are the same species, even though they really are not the same, and I hate that people say that they're the same characters. Other than that, like, the rest of it is literally just, like, tropes. Yeah, the villain's going to be a darker color. It's a Disney film. Dark is associated with negativity. Right? This is the 90s we're talking about. Things were very tropey. The facial deformity, like, why... Here's my question. Why on earth would Disney think that what made Kimba successful was a scar over the left eye of the villain or something like that? It seems ridiculous. Kimba... None of what was included in The Lion King was any reason why Kimba was successful. The core of Kimba had nothing to do with any of the similarities with The Lion King. And when we're talking about, like, the plot point of an exiled lion with a dead father and, like, these core themes of the show, they're not really, like, it's in the pilot episode, but, like, the entire show jumps around theme to theme to theme to theme. Every episode is about some new fucking thing. It really doesn't stay consistent, or it's not a part of the core. And when you jump around with a show like Kimba and you tackle every single possible fucking thing, then yeah, another series that comes along, or another show that comes along, another film that comes along, if they want to do a film about lions and the dad dies and there's an evil lion that's a darker skin with a facial deformity, or even if we remove those, I can't believe I'm even going that far. If you want to have a show about lions, period, you're going to find a billion similarities to Kimba, because they did everything. That's the problem. And we're going to go through this. And I'll have a good video out by the end of this. Anyway. The usurper's henchmen being comedy relief hyenas. Yet, again, as I said, only so many animals. The young lion's advisors, including a... He's not an advisor. Did this person who wrote this watch the show? A mandrill who performs what is that word? None of you are on audio. I don't know if I've heard this word before. Sacerdotal? Sacerdotal? What the fuck is that? I've never heard that word before. Sacred duties, I guess. Sacerdotal. Why not just sacred? And a comedic warthog? Okay. This fucking right here. This right here is like evidence to me that the person who wrote this post, and I feel so bad for criticizing you because you put so much work into this. This right here is evidence that you have not seen Kimba. That you have not watched the whole show. Because those comparison videos where they go like, ooh, there's a shot of a warthog here and a shot of a warthog here. There is no comedic warthog in Kimba. There's like, for one episode. In the original show, it's literally one episode and he's not comedic. It's literally just like, oh, wah, poor me. Like the character's crying the entire episode. It has nothing to do with his smell. It's a completely different character. Completely different character. And this is not like, this is evidence that you haven't seen the show because you included this with the bird and the mandrill. The bird and the mandrill are recurring characters throughout the entire show. The warthog is not. The warthog appears in like one fucking episode. That's it. Out of like 52 episodes. That's it. It's literally just like a stop and go sort of like everything's wrapped up by the end of an episode, new conflict the next episode, and everything's wrapped up. Like, the show is all over the fucking place. If you had watched through the entire show, this would not be in your post here. I'm sorry. I feel bad that I'm criticizing you for this, but this is evidence that you have not seen the show. This is literally just evidence that you have not seen it. This is ridiculous. A confrontation between Kimba and the usurper, which leads to the hero dangling off off a, I think it's supposed to be cliff. It says clip. Here's the fucking problem, is by the end of me going through this entire fucking show, there's going to be about 60 or 70 different clips of them having battles on cliffs. Because what do you do in Africa? Like, what do you want the Lion King to do? Do you want the battle to end with Simba drowning Scar? Would that be an appropriate response? I'll give you some time to think about it. If you think that that would be a better idea. Oh, turns out it's not, because they did that in Kimba too. Kimba did everything, right? You can't just choose like 5 fucking seconds from 3,000 minutes of a TV show and be like, oh, Lion King did it. Or sorry, Kimba did it, the Lion King ripped it off. Like, that's fucking ridiculous. Like, there's so many cliff scenes in this. Like, there's nothing about Kimba battling someone on a cliff that was, like, core. It had nothing. It didn't have the same purpose as the Lion King, right? It's just like, how many... When you're in Africa and the characters are lions, how is that an argument? What can they do? You could say like, oh, like there was a fire or something. Oh, Kimba did that too. What are you gonna do? There's gonna be a cliff. Oh my God. The hero's departed father appearing in a cloud to give advice. Yeah, Kimba's dead dad and dead mom and several other characters that aren't even his parents are hallucinated many times throughout the show in many different forms. And as we've seen right here, this is not something that Kimba fucking invented. This is not something that Kimba invented. I'm sorry. It's a trope. It's a trope. The design of Pride... No! No! I can't believe they're saying this. The design of Pride Rock and Elephant Graveyard, as well as gathering of animals toward rock and... Oh, that's so bad. This person watched the propaganda videos. They didn't watch the show. They didn't even watch the show. Oh my God. This is why I'm making the video. This is insane. I'm sorry. They didn't watch the show. They didn't watch the show. Oh my God. The design of Pride Rock. There is no Pride Rock in Kimba. There is no Pride. His house is a hut. His house is a hut. That's where he keeps his dead dad. There is an elephant graveyard also in Kimba, but it's not like important to the show at all. It's in like one episode. The gathering of animals towards a rock and a benevolent king. What? If you're... The ones that I've seen comparing that have been to the 1997 film. The 1997 film created 3 years after The Lion King. What the fuck? Oh my God. Evidence for inspiration. Various visual similarities between the two, going as far as shot choices and as early as the development stage, note in particular how Scar originally looked. Okay. Sorry, was this supposed to be to a specific... Alright, did this link to a specific time or was this... No, it wasn't. Alright. I'm gonna download this video for it. This is the video that pisses me off. This is the video that really fucking pisses me off. Holy shit. Holy shit. Yeah, you're gonna have a cliff. There is no pride. The person just watched these videos and made this post. They haven't seen Kimba. There's no way they've seen Kimba. There is no Pride Rock in Kimba. There is none. Look what the fuck this is from like the oh, this is like from the oh no, how that's like the 2009 movie. Is this the 2009 movie? Okay, so this is one that caused a lot of controversy. So this is like a concept image. Early concept image for The Lion King. And they're like, there's a white lion in it. There's a white lion in this. Yeah, there's also like a darker one. This is a Do you know what concept images are? It's when When a studio is making a project that they're putting millions of dollars into, they're going to have a wide variety of different designs. They're going to go, does this work? Does this work? No, no, no. They didn't go with that image. Why is this an argument? They didn't go with a white lion. They didn't use it. Why is that an argument? Yeah, baboons look like baboons. Big fucking deal. Holy shit. When you consider... And like, oh my god. When you consider the fact that Tezuka has openly stated that his style is based off of Disney, then yeah, probably some concept images are going to look similar. What do you mean? How are these two images a baby lion and a baby lion? Are you claiming that this is a white lion because it isn't fully colored? Are you claiming that? This shot right here is from the 1997 film. This is from 97. Look at this like to dislike ratio here. This is from 90. This is 3 years after The Lion King. I'm so pissed off. I can't believe this. This is the 97 film here too. Oh no, he's standing on a rock. Like, it's unbelievable. Yeah. Concept art, again, not used in the film. And again, one of like 60 instances of like a cliff battle in Kimba, right? With many varieties of characters experiencing cliff battles. Face in the Moon, again, trope, Skyface, right? Like, holy shit. It's so unbelievable. Limited topography in Africa, like, I don't know. This was done for like really theatrical purposes. By the way, these are all panthers, right? You look at it, if you aren't familiar with Kimba and you've never seen this episode, you'd be like, oh, the villains are singing a song and Scar is leading these hyenas, and it's the same song and like the same scene. Like this is what the video is making people believe. That's what pisses me off. My audio's a bit behind. All right, I'm gonna fix this. Hold on, BRB. I'm gonna stop the stream and start it again, BRB.